Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It is the 4th of March in the year 2020. I'm in the wrong time zone, so we're starting early or we're starting late. I'm not exactly even sure. So what's up? I am joined. Oh, are you kidding me? Time zone, so early or we're starting late. I'm not exactly. Unbelievable. Let's start that again. Ark from Destiny Lab, and I swore it was Destiny's Lab. It must be a Mandela effect, is joining me once again to pick up where we left off last time. What is up, brother? How are you?
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
Nice. I'm glad you could jump in early because, like I said, my clock's all messed up. And
No
I've only got one laptop because this laptop is sitting on top of the one that I gave to Brandon. So there's that. All right, before we do this, I'm just going to say a prayer real quick because once again, we're going to be pulling up demonic sigils and such, and we do not want to mess around with stuff like that. So,
no doubt.
Father, I come to you through Yahushua. I say in his holy name to please protect us and all the people listening and all the people that could possibly be affected by this, that we do not misguide or mislead anybody, and we do not harm anybody talking about these evil things that are literally taking over this mortal coil as we speak. In Jesus' holy name, I pray. All right. We have a whole ton of people in the chat. Born again veteran, what's up, brother? What is this? Some sort of Louisiana bug crawling on me while I'm doing a live stream. That's lame. Oh, snap. Neo Newman.
Oh, sweet. Just
I'm
in.
Nice. What's up, brother? All right, let me finish what I was doing here, and we'll Neo, Ark's brother Neo wasn't going to be able to join us, but by the grace of God, here he is. What's up, brother?
Hey, doing great. Yeah, might have to cut out a little
all
early,
good.
But I'm
all
here
good.
for a while.
All good. All right, let me finish this up. In the chat, we've got the Huntsman. What's up? Realize, seek and ye shall find. Jimmy Neptune, Cheryl F, Barry White, Jimmy Neptune. Did I just say that? Airborne Saint, which is also, I forget what his old name was. Whatever.
Awakened Saint.
Awakened Saint. There you go. My bad. This is a nice one. Fuck Hugh. I had that on a license plate on my car before. Let me put that up there. Nice. You spelled my name wrong every single solitary way, and the thumbnail leads me to believe you're not going to be in the chat very long. So let's see how that goes, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Eminem, Giggles 2, Guido, Congetti, and Destiny Lab. He's actually sitting right here, and I just said what's up to him. All right, what's up, guys?
What up, man? Thanks for having us again. Appreciate it.
No worries. Neo, if you've got to jump out, it's all good, brother. No worries at all. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Oh, your audio is horrendous right off the bat again.
Oh,
and I'm in Louisiana, and you got bad audio.
Yeah, internet is bad here. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I may have to cut out.
That's all. If it doesn't work, just jump out. We'll do it another time. No worries. All right. Where did we leave off? Do you even remember? Because I know it was a tough one.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, that was there's so much to go over when it comes to the fallen angels and the Nephilim. But yeah, it's hard to say where we left off there.
Well, let's recap real quick on since the last time I've spoken with you guys till now. Can you where you live right now is the all everyone's talking about in the town you live in?
Not where I'm from. I'm in a really small town.
Good answer. Because I've just traveled from Boston to Indiana, every state in between. I drive an old Land Cruiser, which means I stop for gas every 200 miles. So I interact with a lot of people along the way. I did see a couple of fellas in Mississippi wearing face masks, but that was it. And then when you plug back into the matrix, it's unbelievable. It's tensions rise as 9 people have been claimed. Listen, if since when they declared this December 29th till now, March 4th, if only 9 people have died in the United States because of a flu, that's awesome. because last year it was 18,000 plus people that died from the flu. And that might even be way low. You know what I'm saying? But these guys are just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. The subscribers I stopped and saw in Indiana, their kids are in, I don't know, the school 1 to 6, the small school, like elementary, I guess. Mm-hmm. The teachers are sending them home with quizzes to do with their parents. So apparently they want the parents to see this. The first question on there is, if you have to get moved to a resettlement camp, what are the top 10 things you'll bring? Now, it's not just that, because somebody else just sent me this entire thing right here. Let me see if I can screen share. It isn't just this one place. It's apparently this is going to be the norm. But let me tell you, long story short, if these guys are sending out relocation things with the children, they're going to go for this right here. Check this. One of my subscribers sent me this, the advocate for human rights, teach human rights, blah, blah, blah. And I haven't found it as of yet, but there's a quiz in here for the children, and it's all about resettlement camps and what they would do, what they would bring to resettlement camps. So this is going to be part of the agenda. This blows me away that they're actually really trying to pull this under such a weak guise, but it's smart on their side because a lot of people are falling for the hype big time, like big time. So
exactly, man. I mean, you're right. You test that. You actually look at the numbers of how many people have died compared to just real flu numbers. It makes no sense. That it shows the power of the media and how they're able to manipulate, control the minds of the masses. Because, there are areas where there's extreme outbreaks, like China and these areas, but it is really crazy how people are kind of over. When you actually look at the numbers, it doesn't make sense to be that.
It makes no sense. I pulled up the CDC's actual numbers for the amount of people that died last year in the United States of America, and it was like 18,500 people died from a flu, or it might have been double. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a huge number, and I'm like, these guys aren't even in the same ballpark for the amount of people that live in China to the amount of people they're claiming. But it was never they're going to use this as the vehicle. They're going to use this. People are freaking out in Australia buying toilet paper. The Surgeon General has to come on television and tell people to stop buying dust masks, etc.
Yeah, it's amazing. Everything's sold out in different areas and stuff. It's like, man, great ploy to sell a bunch of stuff and make a bunch of money. I mean, that's what it's always about in the end. Is somebody's making money in the end. Follow the money trail.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
I've been just subscribed to RP for 8 years. I'm over it. It was a waste of it. Oh, good. How about that? Let me help you out the door. Yeah, there you go. Goodbye.
He's like, anyway, I was just being sarcastic, man.
Your brother was trying to say something. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think ever since the year 2000, there's been a big crisis, and it's the Hegelian dialectic. They're using it to any crisis that comes up, either manufactured or real, they're going to use it to their political gains. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I hear you, but I've never ever seen mandatory get rid of the money, because money will. Ark, you were in the live stream with us when we were talking about the. Come on, man. I'm effing this all up right here. Stand by. Oh, I got it. Oh, I did have it. I just spun you guys around. Nice. I think it's above and beyond money, because in that live stream with me, Nicholson, Sib, and yourself, we pulled up that article, and this was on January 7th. This was before this whole thing broke out. We brought up that article that a subscriber sent me, and it was from MIT saying, we figured out a way to check to make sure you've got your remotely, like a laser gun. So they don't even have to make contact with you. They can see that. And what did I say?
Wow.
I said the only time they would need that is if there was a pandemic. And then we continued on that thread, and we were like, what are other things? Well, if there's a pandemic, the first thing you want to do is get rid of the money, because pandemic, everyone touches and handles money. These guys are killing, or they're going to try to kill so many birds with one stone, but sending home the kids with paperwork so their parents can see it. It's bad enough if they do it in school, but they want the parents to see it so they can gauge the social outrage. Yeah. If you go to a resettlement camp, what stuffed animals will you bring, little kids? Come on, man. I mean, this is America, resettlement camps. This is insane. And here it comes. If they can get away with it. So
Yeah, great points.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Water.
say again. Both Neo, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it makes you wonder what Bernie Sanders meant when he said we need to make 10 million units of affordable housing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't listen to
it's
those
just testing
guys.
the waters and preparing people and just seeing their reaction. You know, it's like, let's
Yeah,
see how
but-
they react to this.
Dude,
and then
they've been
go-
stretching this out for months. A pandemic
Mhm.
doesn't go this slow. You know what I'm saying? They're just stretching it out over and over, and then they come out and they stop it. Hey, stop by a mask. The Surgeon General said it's just a flu. 10 minutes later, somebody comes back out. They're like, oh my, it's the end of the world. 9 people have been claimed by this killer virus. You know, it just freaks me out.
Yeah.
Long story short, it's all evil. It's just all evil. And I'm going to start this by this. I think we did this last time and it was an accident, but I'm going to do it again anyways, because look at this. Here we go. Can you see this? Is this up?
Yep.
Okay. So these are the sigils that we just said the prayer of protection for. So there's that. See this very top one right here? Phaleg, the demon of discontent. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody can ID what that exact symbol is and who has that sitting outside their office or their building or whatever. And
CERN's logo.
it is absolutely CERN's logo. That is the number one answer right there for America. And here is what happens again. When you go to CERN's website, this is new, and it was new as of last time we did a live stream on this. Remember this? This is just a sigil extravaganza. I mean, look at this. This is CERN's homepage.
Fascinating.
I mean, dude, look at them all. It's
amazing.
And I mean, how many people go to CERN's website and say a prayer of protection before they do, just in case? Instantly, their eyes lock onto these demonic sigils.
Yeah.
Right off the rip, man.
Yeah.
Right off the rip.
That's crazy. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Lawnmower Man, but I actually worked on that movie. It's the first movie I ever worked on as a special effects artist. And if you watch that movie, when they program, it's all about making this retarded guy basically super smart by programming him into virtual reality goggles. And the first scene when they actually put these goggles onto him, it starts showing just that, all kinds of sigils and alchemical symbols flashing before his eyes. And this was back in 1991, I believe, when that movie came out.
Crazy. I think we just had a complete, I don't know how you say it. I think we just had deja vu on a massive scale, because I think last time I brought up that sigil, I pulled up this page and you talked about Lawnmower Man, or I'm having deja vu like a freight train right now. So that's crazy.
Yeah, maybe I did.
It's no biggie. It's no biggie, because we kind of left off where we left off. So we're picking it up. So I've been listening to a lot of really good documentaries or dissertations, whatever you want to call them, on the fallen angels. And I don't know if I brought this up last time, but Semyaza was in charge of the angels. He's the one that they had to convince, like, hey, let's do this. Let's go lay with the daughters of men, take the ones that we want. And they did. Semyaza was concerned that God's not going to forgive us. I'm going to get smoked. And they're all like, dude, we'll all get smoked, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All for one for all. We're with you. That's that. But it turns out the one that didn't actually impregnate the daughters of men and release disembodied spirits, demons all over the earth, things that can't be redeemed because they're not of God, was Azazel. And he's the one that introduced mankind to a whole bunch of things, but primarily war, when there was no need for that. Are you familiar with Azazel whatsoever at all?
Yeah. He's
one at a time, brothers.
Sorry. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I believe that he was also the one that did this. And when they send the scapegoat out, the scapegoat will go to Azazel.
Exactly. There's a story about the two goats, and I can't remember all of it myself. So you're kind of killing me here with the quick things. So let me pull these up. Here's the list. and I'm not screen sharing because I'm watching the chat. And here's the list. Now, there seems, do you have any clue the exact amount of fallen angels there were? Because I hear different numbers all the time. A third of the angels, 200 angels, more, less, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, and it also says they fell after that too. So it was an ongoing thing. So there was the original fall, but then I believe there was like a trickling effect of other angels that continued to fall, like after the flood even.
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I believe in Enoch there were 100 initial angels, and they're the ones that bound themselves to Semyaza, and they said to Semyaza, Semyaza told them, I will take basically all the blame for what you do. And that kind of allowed them to do that. And apparently they did this with both humans and animals, affect the genetic code.
Yeah, chimeras. I've got a couple of things on chimeras pulled up. But watching everything that's happening right now, discontent made me think of that sigil that CERN uses. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny thing that now that I've spent 5 days with another YouTuber who's highly steeped in the Word of God, talking about things. You know, do you remember all the hype back in 2012, 2014, etc., when CERN was going to break through the veil? CERN started using elements they had never used before. They were going to smash them together. And the fear was coming out of their own mouths that this could open a door or shut a door or close a door, open a window. Something could come in, something could come out. I'm really starting to wonder if that did happen and we just didn't get the memo, because the more I look at this world that we're in right now, the more I don't recognize it at all. Are you guys catching on to that? I mean, does that make any sense?
Well, I mean, just look at the quotes of what Geordie Rose was saying. I mean, he's basically admitting that, you know, we're interacting with these entities from other dimensions that are like, you know, the great old ones of, you know, Lovecraftian type creatures that don't believe in good and evil. They don't care, you know, rat's ass about you. They just are going to treat you like an ant.
They think of you as an ant. Exactly.
Yeah. And Elon Musk saying the same thing. You know, you're letting the demon out. You know, you think you're going to keep this thing in the pentagram with your holy water, but you're not going to be able to control it. Like, what are they talking about? If they don't know,
I'll one up you. I'll one up you on Geordie Rose, because back when Geordie Rose, hippy dippy, you're not far off. It's funny she brings that up because we were just talking about that. Hey Sib, I'm using you're using your blue cord for the live stream here. Just FYI. It's weird not having my computer to my other laptop to do a live stream, but whatever. All right, here we go. Sib's being a squirrel. He's killing me. All right, so check this out. Geordie Rose recently came out again, and I did a short video, and I think I showed him. Geordie Rose looks horrendous. Geordie Rose looks – the kid was an athlete. He was a college dude. He was a wrestler, according to what he tells us. He was a stocky, short, balding dude. Last time he came out, he said, I'm done with D-Wave. I did what I needed to do. It's all set. I'm moving on now to focus all my energy with my other company, Kindred, which could also be looked at as the word Legion. Kindred, Legion. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, just look at their logo.
We're going to work on technology to make robots that are indistinguishable from humans. I'm not going to mess with D-Wave anymore, which blows me away, because in a real world, if you did create D-Wave, D-Wave does do what they've been alluding to, or basically straight up saying, why would you walk away now to focus all your energy on making robots that are indistinguishable from people when he lives in the upper echelon? He's in the cutting edge of technology. He's rubbing shoulders with all the elites on this earth. They're constantly telling us there's too many people, but the biggest money in technology is making robots that look, act, and do everything that people do. What do you make of that, man? That's insane. But I mean, that is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Art investigated that quite a bit with the transhumanism. Maybe we should talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, transhumanism all kind of reflects going back to like alchemy and creating golems. You know, there's always been this great dream of the elite or the the mystery schools of creating some sort of slave race or working automaton. I mean, even if you go back to, kings and queens of Europe and every culture, they have their court gestures, and they're always, and there's always these stories of these, these scientists or really smart guys that they bring in that create automatons and do puppet shows and, do these magical workings basically that seem like humanoids that are walking, talking, animals walking, talking. I mean, there's all kinds of stories of this. And then it gets in, there's doing it with science. And then there's going into actually doing it through alchemical processes and ritual processes where they think they, create a little man in a test tube basically. And they get this information from this thing. And I think that is a reality. I think, the spiritual realm, the demonic realm has the ability to just pose as any costume that they can fit that matches your belief system. So if you're into alchemy and you think you're going to interact with some little entity inside of a test tube, he's going to show up. They're happy to provide signs and wonders for you to fool you in and draw you deeper into this stuff and manipulate you and manipulate mankind. And the higher you're up in the elite, the more they want to control you. I mean, God is omnipresent. Satan and his fallen angels are not. So they're not going after everybody. They're going after the people that are in control, and it has a trickle-down effect because of their control of the elite.
Indeed. Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, I was going to say also, Janus and Jambres, the sorcerers of the Pharaoh, Moses threw down his staff. They were also able to perform the miracles that God's found. They were able to bring frogs out. Their staffs turned to snakes. So there is power that Satan gives people. It's a false power. And I think he deceives many people by using those, witchcraft, other things like that. And that may go back to CERN, where they are now kind of bringing together science and the ancient religions.
Mm-hmm.
You're breaking up, homie. Unless you just stop talking, you're killing me. You got a terrible connection. You sound like you're talking through one of those rapping things. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. As far as them, I'm seeing the number one answer in the chat is people are under the impression that they're doing this to build vessels that they can fill with demons. Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of got a funny feeling that they already did that, because I do believe what Steve Quayle's been quacking about for 25 years about underground bunkers with, chimeras and all sorts of crazy things, which would explain a lot of the sightings. Okay, so here's the story, and Big Sib can attest to this. It's very weird watching somebody in the chat, and I'm sitting in his house, and he ain't here, which is strange, but whatever. We're out in the middle of the bayou, all right? We're out in a boat, just like in the movies, just like in the show Swamp People. For those that don't know what a bayou is, we're surrounded by quicksand and crazy animals and alligators and so forth and so on. And out in the middle of nowhere. Now, I have already gone overboard on the boat. We pulled the boat up onto some sand, and before Sib could say, don't, I was over the side trying to videotape something. And as soon as I hit the ground, I realized it wasn't sand, it was quicksand. And I went up to my waist, and it got ugly. So I need to tell you that so you'll understand that we're cruising later on, and way off in the middle of the bayou, on the water, in the middle of nowhere, I noticed this thing crucified to a tree. And I say, Sib, do you see that? He's like, yes. What is that? So we rolled up on it a little bit, and it is a wolf-headed monster thing wearing some sort of a uniform stuck to a tree. Now, bear in mind, somebody went through a lot of effort to put this thing in the middle of nowhere that nobody would see it, because you can't really walk on the soil, because the soil is muck, or blackjack, as they call it out here, or quicksand, because if you stand in it, it quickly sucks you in until it's done. So we see this and we're like, that's crazy, man. It's crazy, whatever. So, and this is crazy because this applies. We see another one in another very small bayou that, only small boats and people that are showing city boys around are ever in. We didn't see many people. We saw 2 of these things. Whatever. We get back to Sib's house. Sib looks it up, and he finds out that this is put up by people that practice voodoo. They put these scarecrows up to scare off the dog man.
Wow.
Dude, this is out in the middle of nowhere. They had to put a lot of energy into doing this. It was not an easy task. I've built a lot of things in this life. Hanging that monster thing in a uniform on a tree without getting sucked down in this thing or eaten by an alligator was hard to do. But the long story about this is, what are they doing out there, and how bad is this dog man thing? Because I get emails 5-10 times a week about dog man, and I simply go, yeah, I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. But then again, I get a ton of emails about Bigfoot and other crazy things. That leads me to believe that leads me down the line of chimeras, because these guys have been doing this because they've talked about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So go ahead, either one of you have at it. That should be enough to work.
I think Neo is going to try to log on with another connection, but so he's not on here right now. But yeah,
right, well, let's speak on it.
It's definitely true. I mean, I've got a song called Paranormal Species, and that's exactly what it talks about. It talks about, all the different costumes that, like the Jersey Devil, even into, Loch Ness Monster or something like that. Aleister Crowley is performing rituals on the Loch Ness there when actually living on the lake there. So
say that again.
Aleister Crowley actually lived right next to the Loch Ness Monster for a time. And
I remember this. And he did a conjuring, and then suddenly people started seeing some dinosaur dragon demon looking thing.
Exactly.
Oh my, good call, brother.
These entities can appear as whatever you are open to believing in. And you go back to the fairy and folklore of ancient times. That's what these fairy lore was doing. They would come in the middle of the night. They would abduct women, take them to an underground abode that had like illumination that you didn't know where the illumination came from. And they were like childlike creatures, these imp-like creatures, like in the story of Rumpelstiltskin. The story of Rumpelstiltskin, he came to take the woman's, firstborn child. So they're interested in taking children, hybridizing children. And that's what you see on alien abduction experiences when they bring women on board and they're told, this is your hybrid child, and they're made to hold them. And that's what they're interested in, sex and
stand by, Ark. Stand by. Check this out. I just got rejected by YouTube twice for trying to share this link. YouTube rejected your comment. This is fairly common when sharing a link. You may need to share the link another way.
The monkey human?
Yep. Newsweek, and the link says Newsweek, Chimera, and China. I've already shared like 15 links, and this is my live stream, so I find that queer. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean that doesn't happen very often. Just did it again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and you go back in ancient times as well. You look at I know somebody's posting there in the chat that Anubis.
Well, yeah, I got. Go ahead.
The Egyptian gods, the same thing. They're these half human, half every animal you can think of, ostriches or storks and alligator heads and all kinds of weird stuff.
And they went to a massive. I mean, if these are just fairy tales. Dude, they carved them in gold. They carved them in bas relief. You're an artist. You understand that. Carving something into stone, that's a whole big ball of wax. That's a whole bunch of skill right there. But carving the stone away, leaving the image, dude, that's insane. Bas relief. I mean, they made monuments all over the land to these things. You're telling me they weren't real?
Incredible artists.
Exactly.
And you can tell that some of these are made by different artists, like at different times, but they're featuring the same anatomical characteristics that make these things anatomically feasible, like they were real creatures that these people are looking at. And there's a lot of things like that depicted in ancient carvings, like the Tree of Life, for instance. That's a really fascinating thing to study. You always see these creatures holding these pine cone things and a bucket in their hands on either side of the Tree of Life. And there's a lot of speculation as to what that's all about.
Well, the pine cone is from. I had a person. I forget. I suck. I had somebody that wrote an entire book on that. That's the pineal gland. That's supposed to be representation representative of the pineal gland, which is why outside the Vatican they have that big thing out there. And I forget the author's name. What a dick. Go ahead. At any rate, that's
yeah, no, I've heard that, and I've got questions about that because I don't, how did ancient people know what a pineal gland looked like?
Well, dude, look at the Eye of Horus. If you cut the pineal gland, if you took an axe and cut one of your friends in half and cut his pineal gland, I don't recommend taking your friend and cutting him in half with an axe, but it was an analogy. If you take the pineal gland and cut it directly in half, it is exactly the Eye of Horus. Stand by. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm going to pull that image up for you.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that picture, and it looks similar. But if you look at the picture, they always show next to it, and it's not a real half section of a human brain. It's actually a sculpture if you look close at it. So I question how many people knew what a half section of a human brain looked like in ancient times to compare it to
I hear that, but I'll tell you, man, I got a funny feeling what ancient people knew and what they're telling us ancient people knew are two completely different buckets of wax, man, because come on, look at that.
That's not a real photo though of the pineal. So here's a question. Try to find a real picture of a human pineal gland. It's nearly impossible.
Thanks.
It's nearly impossible to find.
All right, somebody go cut their. No, actually, I'm not going to say.
There are videos of people dissecting it, so that you can actually find video, but find a picture of it. I can't find a picture of a real human pineal gland.
All right. Well, I can't believe that you would doubt the internet. That is unbelievable, Ark. Live, you would doubt the internet.
Well, a lot of this stuff is about drawing people into the new age, this pineal gland stuff, awaken your pineal gland, decalcifying your pineal gland. I've studied that stuff a lot, and it's really, there are truths about it, but then there's all this other mumbo jumbo attached to it that it's just kind of like made up. They say DMT is released from pineal gland. There's way more DMT released in your lungs than your pineal gland. There's DMT all throughout your body, and they pick and choose what they tell you about that kind of stuff. And the DMT in your body is not psychoactive because DMT to be psychoactive has to have like an 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗶 inhibitor to actually allow it to bind to your.
You see in that comment? She said we've seen it in cadavers in anatomy.
Yeah, and that's where you can see, if you look up videos on the pineal gland on YouTube, you will see videos of dissections of human pineal glands, but you won't see photos. And this, what's weird is the real pineal glands, to me, don't look much like a pine cone. So I don't know. I mean, I could be totally wrong. I could be off, but I mean, from an artist perspective, I'm trying to compare what something looks like.
At any rate, long story short on that, the whole point was, I think that obviously the technology that they had back then, obviously we're not even as close to as smart as we used to be. And they've been hiding that forever because they're using the lie of evolution. They have to.
Yeah.
Have you ever, I know you have, this is rhetorical. The temples in India, Vietnam, where they just start digging straight down and then leave a temple afterwards. It's insane, dude. Yeah. It's insane. Inside the cave,
they do it that way?
Down level after level after level after level.
Yeah, and they have no idea, these huge spaces, and they have no idea.
You can't make a mistake. You can't make a mistake or the whole thing's ruined. And it isn't. Yeah. It's insanity, man. It's totally insane. So
it is amazing.
Go ahead, Ark. Go ahead.
Now, one other thing, Neo and I have that old newspaper site, and on Facebook, and I found a whole bunch of old newspaper stories about the pineal gland and stories of. We should do a whole story just on this, man. I have stories of doctors feeding babies and animals baby pineal glands, and when they feed them the pineal glands of baby animals of the same kind, they grow into giants.
So wait a minute. All right. Hold on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody take a breath, step back. Here we go. Say that again.
Okay.
Say that whole thing again.
I have numerous old newspaper stories, and I'll bring these up, that describe doctors in the 1920s and 30s, and before that even, grinding up the pineal glands of baby chickens, rabbits, all kinds of different animals, and they extract the pineal glands of baby animals grind them up and feeding them to regular animals, and they grow into giant creatures, like twice, 3 times the size.
What's the name of the site? I forgot. This is a newer laptop. I don't have that site saved. The one that
it's a Facebook. Yeah, it's our Facebook site that we created. I'll bring up the articles for you because they're not actually on. I mean, they're on that Facebook site, but they're not on a website, some separate place, unless you look them up on these old newspaper.
So here we go. Neo's audio is in and out, but that's his location. But here goes your audio, your video right now. Again, you're going blurry. Every time you hit on something good, it goes wacky. Yeah, I can still hear you, so it's all good. But check this out. He just left. What a dick. He just left. Oh, you don't want to use Facebook? I'm out of here. Unbelievable.
Can you hear me? I'm not sure if I'm on or.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So for the people that are new or aren't familiar with this, Neo and his brother Ark from Destiny Lab have a website, correct?
At the Facebook.
Don't say that word on this channel. But okay, let's put it this way. Back in the days before 1947, newspapers used to always publish things like, hey, a farmer just pulled up a complete giant in his backyard. This stuff was commonplace to the point where you guys started collecting these things and have them all in one place, right?
Yeah. So if you wanted, you can't do Google searches and find these old newspapers. You actually have to go into the newspaper archive sites, like Chronicling America is one good place to start. And what happened is that the Congress gave all the libraries throughout the whole country these high-speed scanners so they could scan all their newspapers from the 1800s to present day. And they archived these so you could search the text in these old newspapers. And so if you start searching text, these old newspapers, it's like a whole new internet search engine, basically. It's not available through Google search. You have to go into the Chronicle in America site and then start searching for these key terms. And you're going to find all kinds of amazing things that are gone. You can't find them anywhere else.
Did you guys do you have it saved on an external hard drive at least?
Yeah, I've got it saved on my computer. If I do a screen share, I can show you some stuff right now if you want.
If you can screen share, you should be able to. I'm almost positive you can.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let me get this comment out of the way. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, you got me up on there. Can you see this old newspaper stories page here?
Damn, look at that. We're technologically advanced. Not as much as the ancient Egyptians, but we're getting there. Okay, walk us through this, brother.
Okay, so let me look this up real quick.
You can scroll that and whatnot. You should be able to.
Yeah. I just got to find the article here by looking up pineal gland. But it's amazing. One of the articles actually talks about feeding baby children ground up pineal glands so we could create giants to go fight off in war.
What?
Here it is right here. Look this. Check this out. So most people think pineal glands is some new hipster trend when in fact secret societies and skull and bones have been eating pineal glands for a very long time. This article from 1914 shows how ground up pineal glands could be used to make 1- and 2-year-old babies into giant soldiers to fight in war and replenish the troops. And old people live forever. If that's not bad enough, it includes a statue of Moloch, comparing this all to the ancient pagan sacrifice. And so it shows a photo of Moloch here with all these people walking into the mouth of Moloch. It shows a cross-section of the brain showing the pineal gland. It shows pictures of a giant chicken next to another chicken of the same age. This chicken was fed baby pineal glands. So it's unbelievable the information you can find that's out there that has been, and we know this is true because this stuff cannot be fake. These are from the microfilm of these actual newspapers, and people are not looking this up and don't even know this stuff exists. So it's like Neil was saying, this is brand new information that you can find that no one has ever found or read or distributed. That is crazy. Amazing.
That is totally crazy. Did you answer did you save these on an external?
Yes, I've got all these articles saved on my own. I can send them to you if you want.
Yes, definitely, without a doubt. Like I said, when we did the last live stream, I pulled up some other person's channel by accident, some other website, and now I can't find it, which is strange because all I used was Nephilim Giants newspaper, and it popped right up, and now it's not there anymore. So that's odd.
Yeah,
That
who
is
knows?
crazy.
They may.
Go ahead, Neil.
I was going to say they may start censoring this information too, and just say this is too dangerous of information to be out to the general public.
Yeah, I think they're going to do a little. They're working on a grand one right now. They're not letting this whole thing go. And I mean, like I said, they're going to push this. This is going to be how they get everybody to voluntarily get their and go to a resettlement camps, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be sending it home with the school kids, man. So
yeah,
I think.
Well, I got some information about schools too. These schools have been told to by the CDC. A letter went to all the schools that they need to document any symptoms that any students have and give that information to the administration, which will then give it to the CDC.
Unbelievable. Before you came up, let me show you real quick. It's a little bit off topic, but I mean, it's all that's going on in this day and age. I can't find it. I got the document from the schools, whoever's in the school administration or above, showing the test, the standard quiz you can give to children about resettlement camps and what their top 10 things would be. If that's happening, I mean, that's happening. I stopped at one subscriber's house in Indiana, and they said, yeah, they just brought this home from school the other day. And I'm like, what was that? What, hello, that's a bad thing. That's bad. And then apparently it's a common thing. So they are definitely getting things ready. Yeah. So,
well, the algorithm that they use to control human behavior, every time they do another one of these breaks, they get better at getting a rise from the public. And every time, as soon as they get it to the certain level, they can make something happen that really isn't even happening just with their propaganda.
It is what they're doing. They're making a panic. Half of the dum-dums in the United States are falling for this. They're stocking up on it. It's literally simply the name, the scientific or medical name of this year's common. 9 people in 3 months have died. That's awesome. That's awesome. If only 9 people have died from this year so far, that's a phenomenal number. And they're like, everyone's on edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes zero sense to me, but they're still, I mean, I cannot believe it's March and they're still pushing the same rock up the hill.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, let me show you this real quick. Those sigils that we pulled up right off the bat, all these demonic sigils, it's amazing. I'm simply looking for the chart because, again, this is a new laptop. I don't have this stuff on here. I cleared it out. I want the chart that I showed at the beginning, the demonic sigils, the one that was CERN, and all the different sigils. Finding that is easy enough, but it's buried in a whole 100 pages on Google of how to use sigils to make your life better, how to convince friendly demons to come to your house and give you what you want. You're a little overweight? Call this demon. He'll help you right out. It's staggering. It's absolutely staggering how much they push the evil side of everything. But it stands to reason when you look around and look at, all the major corporations. It is what they use. All these things are demonic sigils. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's in their logos, and they get power from it. They do believe in this stuff because it works.
I totally agree, Ark. I totally agree. Yeah. There's no way they wouldn't all be doing the same thing if it wasn't working. Ooh, no one likes that. That's a bad one, huh? That's the Star of David. Star of Remphan.
Remphan, yeah. Exactly.
Yep. I mean, look at all these. I don't know about the Chicago Bulls, but whatever. But these ones, I mean, this is a very complex one. There's a lot going on in this particular little bad Larry. And then, of course, do no evil, do no harm, whatever. Yeah, do no evil, right? Now, I
Yeah.
had 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗍 on years ago, and he explained what this was. I can't quite remember it. Either one of you know?
It's supposed to be a mermaid, I believe, or a siren type character, and she's
But the way her
legs
tail
apart
is,
for sexual.
nice.
Nineveh too. Yeah, it's a siren, but it's who the Ninevites worshipped.
What do you mean by say that again?
Well, you remember Jonah, the story of Jonah. The Ninevites worshipped a giant fish, and when Jonah was spit up on the shore, apparently this fish that spit him up was their god, and that's the only reason they listened to it, because Jonah wanted them all to be destroyed. He was actually mad at God that he saved the Ninevites, but God used their false god to cause them to repent. But I think that's who the Starbucks god is, this Ninevite god.
It's funny too, because Dagon keeps popping up in the chat, and I do believe it ties together in one way or another. But it's amazing when you walk around places like Florida, Chicago, a lot of the old cities, even New York City. You look up in all the architecture, and like we were talking about, carving things in stone, etc. All the decorations were. Someone just said a Leviathan rising. All the decorations were mermaids, shells, nautical. You know, St. Augustine, New York City, Chicago. All the old cities in the United States have them. And I find it strange that, you know, they find the Dagon tribe. They don't know anything about anything, but they tell you about the star that's far away and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
where do they get this information?
Exactly. And how did they get this information to help push the false NASA narrative way back then? You know, so there's a flip side to that.
Yeah, because these demons are in it for the long game.
You're right.
You know? They're not in it for one lifetime. That's why they're fool people so well, and they're so good at what they do. They're familiar spirits. They can appear as your grandmother or grandfather because they were familiar to them.
Yeah, they do it over and over.
That's the thing. Speaking of the Eye of Horus, Time Warner.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to try to make contact. I mean, you can, as a human with free will, you can try to contact dead relatives, but once they're on the other side of the veil, they can't contact you. So anyone that's making contact with you is someone that's probably not looking out for your best interest, I would imagine. So
yeah,
a lot of people do that. So it's pretty sad. At any rate. So
hey,
go ahead, Neil.
Oh, I was gonna bring up one more really interesting thing that about a Bigfoot. You're talking about Bigfoot earlier when I was off, and Travel Channel had a show called Expedition Bigfoot, and it was actually one that was pretty interesting, and it was shot in Oregon, and they got some infrared video of a big creature that they claim was Bigfoot, and where they took to specialists and they said, yeah, this is a upright hominid of some sort that's about 9.5 feet tall. But what was interesting is that there was a deer, because this was at night and they were getting the infrared shot. There's a deer that was close to it as well, and the deer was looking at it, and the deer jumped off very quickly, and then this Bigfoot creature just disappeared. And it's interesting that you were talking about the Nephilim. The Bigfoot creature might be some kind of a hybrid that's a combination between a celestial and a terrestrial creature. And that's what the Indians believe, that the reason we can't find them is that they can just vanish. They can go into the spiritual world anytime they want.
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot. I don't know if I had Ron Moorhead on a couple of years ago, and he's the guy that with a bunch of his buddies used to go hunting, I think in Oregon or Montana, the Sierra Mountains. These guys would take pack horses and then leave their horses and continue hiking with their guns and their packs and everything else up to a camp 13 miles up that the horses couldn't go. And they ran into Bigfoots galore and videotaped it. The CIA, all sorts of government agencies, a military decoder, they all took the tapes. And these were cassette tapes. This was way before VCRs and such. And Ron didn't sound like the kind of guy that just makes things up. And he said the same thing. He said when they would have their encounters, there would be crazy supernatural things. Like it would sound like 55-gallon drums were flying around, and they'd look outside the tent and there'd be nothing going on whatsoever. So
Yeah, balls of light.
I believe him because so many people hit me up talking about stuff like this. You can't dismiss it. And speaking about that show, Neo, in the end of November, I was in Missouri. I was at a off-road park, which is just an enormous piece of land that a retired motocross dude bought and made it into an off-road park. His criteria, he was from California. He bought in Missouri, sight unseen. He was calling people on the phone, and his only criteria to buy this property was, if I walk from one end to the other of this property you're trying to sell me, can I die? And the only one that answered was Missouri. He bought it. This dude doesn't even know me, and he was there talking about Bigfoot. He said, my HVAC guy was just here the other day. As he was pulling out, he took a picture. The next day, the Discovery Channel showed up at his property to investigate it. The next day. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is just a dude that lives out there. He's like, yeah, it's around. Sometimes you can tell because it stinks to high heaven. And that's all. This is a 70-plus-year-old dude, man.
That's actually a really interesting point, is the smells as well, because it's another thing that's reported over and over again. In ancient documents, the smell of sulfur was reported with the elves and fairies. It's reported with alien abduction experiences. It's reported with the Sasquatch and Bigfoot experiences. They even have the skunk ape is one of the versions of the Bigfoot, which lives in the swamps, and they call it the skunk ape because
I just told Sid that the other day. Stand by 1 sec. Beth Miller, what the F are you talking about, dude? Do you know? Because I don't. Go ahead, brother.
No, I don't.
She's saying I lied about my dad. I'd love to know what that means, but whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the overlapping things. And also with sleep paralysis, people that suffer from sleep paralysis over and over again tell about the smell of sulfur in the room. They wake up, they're paralyzed, they can't move. You know, they have this old hag or the hat man or the shadow people or aliens. There's so many different versions of what these costumes that they wear during sleep paralysis. But if you investigate that, it overlaps exactly to the Nephilim and the fallen angels, what they were doing, you know, sexually interbreeding and attacking humans, and whether they may have done that in their sleep in ancient times. It doesn't really go into those details, but it's possible that's how they actually overshadowed these women, is through sleep paralysis, and somehow impregnated them through that process. Because the people that have sleep paralysis always experience the same type of thing, something crawling on top of them and doing sexual things to them, or choking them, suffocating them. And if you investigate the CE4 research group, my friend Joe Jordan has put together, he has over 350 abduction testimonies of people that have gotten rid of sleep paralysis and abductions, oftentimes suffering by these things for decades, by rebuking these things in the name and authority of Jesus. And if you go there and listen to the testimonies, if you look up alienresistance.org and listen to the testimonies there, it's unbelievable.
Well, you know what's funny? Right around the same time that CERN, D-Wave all start making suggestions like we might open a door, something might come in. You've got Geordie Rose talking about, you know, these things. That was down the line when he finally said, tsunami of demons, we're summoning them. Somebody's got to do it. They're coming anyways. If you want to be part of it, sign up with us. But right around that time is right when the sleep paralysis meme popped up from the medical community, because my entire life I had never heard of such a thing. And suddenly it was happening to everyone. I think the medical community simply stepped in to cover up for the fact that these guys are unleashing entities, or something unleashed these entities, and they're messing with people, because so many people in the last 10, 15 years have been Googling how to lose weight by contacting a demon, or they're buying books for their children. Like, hey, let's talk to the friendly demons and such.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Totally. It's amazing.
So that could be it. There could be the tie-in. It's tough to tell.
Well, it's, you know, they work through intent. You know, you go to these places like Creepypasta and look at these stories of these like girls that tried to kill one of their friends to meet Slender Man. You know, Slender Man.
It's a dude. They're killing each other because something they saw, and it all stems from Hollywood. It all stems from the movies and such. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I just find it crazy, man. Here's it. I think I figured out RFB lied about his father. If my father, who's still alive, heard you calling him a Freemason on a live stream, he would punch you in the face till he was tired. And my dad's in really good shape. Just saying. All right, let's continue to move on. All right. Yeah, I mean, do you think that there's any validity there, Neil? I mean, magically, the sleep paralysis meme becomes mainstream. That's freaking me out. All right, I thought you wanted me to put that up. I don't know what that is. All right.
Yeah, no.
Long story short, or long story longer, all the major corporations that are affecting how everybody does everything on this earth all use demonic sigils. They all pay homage to these things. And more and more and more and more and more people are seeing skunk cakes, Bigfoots, dogmen, apparitions, whatever. And they all have historical ties to ancient Egypt. They all have, there's all a stone carved with them in there someplace. Chimeras have been around, and science has been making chimeras. I mean, it's old news now. People don't even care about it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the beginning game is going to be the end game. What they were doing in the days of Noah is going to be coming at the time of the Son of Man. The Bible is very specific about that. And we're seeing it happen right in front of our eyes. It's coming to fruition. And who knows what really is going on behind the scenes in China and some of these places.
Well, I mean, this story from China is the one that they won't let, that YouTube won't let me share on my live stream, which I find really strange, but it's old, man. The monkey, this is it right here. When you decide to cross a monkey and a human, you're not doing it for any other reason other than to play God, period. And this is from 8/2/19. So it's from last year, and it's Newsweek magazine, but they won't let me share the link. But it's a controversial human monkey chimera created in China, according to a new report. These guys have been doing this for time immemorial, and don't think China had the technology first, because we've been doing it for decades and decades. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is something that angers God more than almost anything, is messing up the genetics of mankind.
I agree. We were just talking about, imagine out of all the things that would be an affront to God, looking down at all the people that will believe in absolutely anything. One day there was just nothing, and then it exploded and turned into everything. And then water rained on a rock, and the rock slowly softened up and turned into goo. And then that goo made a conscious decision to become a giraffe, a turtle, a person, a butterfly. I mean, think about that. We are the most special thing on this earth. We were given dominion over everything, and out of pure ignorance, we gave it all over to a tiny minority of people on this earth who are contacting the same jerks that pissed God off the first time. That's probably going to make him mad. He's probably reaching for the Pepsid.
Yeah,
just saying.
You know, last time we were on, we talked about the book of Enoch, but there's 20 other books that the Bible mentions, and one of them that's there's the book of Jasher, and that goes into great detail about Nimrod, and talking about he was the founder of basically Mystery Babylon religion, and how he got his power was he took the garments that God made for Adam and Eve and wore them, and it gave him great power.
Well, okay, Neo, tell me you're going to talk about CERN allegedly having those garments in the collider, along with all those plates that have all sorts of incantations in every single language known to man. Have you ever seen that? Because I still do have that on an external hard drive. Allegedly, Anthony Patch told us that Adam and Eve's pieces of their garments were in the Large Hadron Collider in the same chamber, that as the particles go around at 99.999% light speed, they pass through all these incantations on these crystal plates with the words carved in them in every language known to man forever. Allegedly, those incredibly powerful garments that belong to Adam and Eve are in there. Is that what you're going to say next?
I didn't know that.
Just say yeah. I was going to say that. That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. But apparently those are very powerful. And Esau is the one that slew Nimrod and took the garment. So I think there's a trail of where they would have looked for these things, because we've talked about this as well in some of our podcasts.
Think about it. They'd be so powerful because when Adam and Eve realized they were naked, who made those clothes for them?
Oh, yeah, God himself.
You know what I'm saying? That's one hell of a tailor.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it has incredible power.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, yeah, they said they wore leaves, but that's not what I read. The change in the DNA, it's hard to tell. I don't know. It is poisoning without a doubt.
Well, it's kind of like Hitler was going after the Spear of Destiny, the Ark of the Covenant, looking for giant bones, all these same types of things. And they say that, Saddam Hussein was into that kind of stuff, collecting all of these ancient relics that had power.
Well, that's a fact, because I know dudes that I did basic training with that went into Baghdad. As soon as the recon Marines hit Baghdad, I mean, they were like, they didn't even have the right equipment. Like, you do not take out it's like going into New York City in a bunch of Toyotas. The military sent him in there. They just wanted him in there. The first thing that they secured was the museums, because Saddam was running his mouth saying that he had found the, what's the big flat thing? It belonged to Nebuchadnezzar. It was what you would build a Stargate on. It's whatever the platform of Stargate. Say it.
Well, it wasn't the Tower of Babel, was it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, but something similar to that. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think about this. Who gave Hitler all the money to do everything he did? The dude just got out of jail. Next thing you know, he's got a blitzkrieg going on. Of course, they used him as a useful puppet. Hey, go find everything, do what you got to do. And then, after you get everything, we'll collect it all, take all your technology, bring all the scientists here. That's an open secret now. And then we'll tell everybody you're dead or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another story that was when Joshua was when he was on his conquering of the promised land, and they got beat by the men of Ai. There it is. The Ziggurat is a step.
Ziggurat.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But Achan took what was called a goodly Shinearian garment, a Babylonian garment that apparently had demonic symbols on it. And that's what caused Israel to lose 36 men from these men of Ai. And they had to burn those garments and all the men of Achan in that valley because it was so destructive and so made God so angry. And then after they did that, then they began their conquest again, were able to defeat the evil people in the promised land.
That's crazy, dude. That is crazy. So let me ask you, Neil, the book of Jasher is similar to the book of Enoch as far as stuff that they don't want us to know is in it?
Yeah, it's pretty complete. And, I don't think I think it's more historical, but when you read it, gives you a little more detail about the first 5 books of the Bible. So it goes into Nimrod's life in a lot more detail, talks about how he got his power, talks about Abram destroying these 12 idols that were, because Terah, Abraham's father, was one of Nimrod's main chancellors, basically. And Abraham was taken to, his name was Abram at that time. He actually got his training from Noah. He sent him away secretly to Noah, where he got his training. So it's a fascinating book to read. I wouldn't consider it God's word, but I'd consider it historical, and the Jewish people consider it historical too. So it's a great book to read.
Wow. Yeah, I downloaded it. I just haven't got an opportunity yet because I've probably listened to the book of Enoch. I'm straight up. I've listened to it 24 times, literally the entire 3 hours, because that's how long it takes. Is somebody doing dishes? Somebody arguing with their mother?
Oh, that was my wife. She was giving me.
Right, she was. All right.
But I was going to say about Jasher. See, Jasher is referred to in the Bible in Joshua, Samuel, and in Timothy. In both the Old and New Testament says, they'll say, "Is it not written in the book of Jasher?" So apparently, the book of Jasher was a historical book of the Jewish people, just not inspired. So whether or not it's completely accurate to this day, and maybe it has some embellishments, we don't know for sure. But when you read the stories, they're very, very similar to the biblical stories with just extra details in them.
Nice. Have you read it, Ark?
No, I haven't read that. I've read the Book of Enoch, but not Jasher.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get on that because I downloaded it a long time ago, and I meant to. But like I said, reading it, I can listen to it, but I literally have to listen to it 3, 4, 5 times to absorb it all because I've just taken
like
too many head injuries, and we are literally living in a place where they're actively spraying us, poisoning us through everything that we breathe, eat, drink, etc. You know the drill. It works. So
yeah,
it works. It makes it easier.
No, that's what's so interesting about studying the fallen angels and fully understanding them is all the dots out there, all the pieces of the puzzle that you have to connect and bring back to form this clear picture. It's not just one thing, and that's what makes it complicated. But when you actually dig into it and study it and connect these dots, it's amazingly overwhelming because it makes clear, it clears up so many different misunderstandings and questions about aliens and sleep paralysis and all these things out there. It just makes it clear, and you see exactly what the enemy is trying to do.
Grant Dickinson nailed it right here. He says this is exactly what I think. People are always, it wasn't canonized. Well, who canonized the Bible? Think about it. Do you know what I'm saying? The Catholic Church, the Pope, the entire thing has been bad since day one. They have a chamber for Lucifer in there. I mean, actually, I don't even want to get in. If you don't understand how bad the Vatican and everything they represent, just by their architecture, I don't know what to tell you. So, great. Definitely on it, brother. Go ahead, Neil.
Well, and the Book of Enoch was lost during the time that they canonized it. And even in the Bible, they talk about when the scriptures were lost at certain times, and they actually found a copy of it because they were worshiping, but they didn't have the word at one time in the Old Testament. They found a copy that one of the priests had hidden away in one of the little cubbies there, and they wept because they were doing things so wrong. Everything that they were doing was evil. So there has been times where the scripture has been lost to the believers, and it came back to them.
I had something really.
I think God is actually the one definitely in control there with things like the Dead Sea Scrolls. What about the timing of that release, 1947? It's like, all these things that happened in around that time. It's like, God obviously allowing this information to come out, and that's what's amazing about prophecy. If you look at prophecy, we're still waiting for some things to unfold that you can just see happening tomorrow, like the demons that are chained in the abyss, and given to the angels given the key to the abyss. That's what I think is definitely may happen at CERN at some point, or one of these technological things that this key to the abyss is unlocked, and that's where all these entities with the sting of a scorpion will, unleash their torment on the world. And
I agree.
Gina Bowman says the Dead Sea Scrolls will blow your mind. I've mentioned this before. I had an opportunity to see them 3 days in a row. They were on display in Boston at the museum. I saw them 3 days in a row. The third day I saw him with somebody that his job and his wife. They were both, what do you call it when you read something in another language? Come on, man.
Translator.
Thank you. That was too tough for me. They translated them. And the only thing I think is sick about the Dead Sea Scrolls is that it literally verifies the most important points out of the Bible, which is phenomenal. And if churches wanted to get people in and really fill them with the word, the most interesting story on earth ever is the Book of Enoch. And the fact that it's not something that happened a long time ago, it's also coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the most interesting thing ever.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Nonsense, just like school did. Well, George Washington came over a bridge, and it's like, yeah, we all know that, dude. What about Vietnam? Or, they never got to anything of any, interest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially in modern times, and And what's amazing is how people always say, oh, you can't trust Scripture. It's been rewritten, and all this nonsense.
I was one of them.
I got some information I can just break down real quick about that. If you can't trust Scripture, you can't trust any ancient testament. I mean, the New Testament has 5,600 copies of fragments that we've found of the New Testament that match each other completely. The closest thing to that in any other ancient text is Homer's Iliad at only 643 copies. And the Sophocles, I can't pronounce his name, Sophocles, with 193 copies. And these copies that we have in these fragments are 99.5% accurate. And the only thing that's not accurate are like misspellings or just simple, nothing that takes away from the actual reasoning or storyline of the Bible. And so it's incredible that people never question, Homer or any of these ancient, texts that they read from. But we have way more fragments of the New Testament than any ancient text out there.
Yeah. Hey, another thing to check out is Cosmic Codes by Chuck Missler.
Oh, yeah.
It'll blow your mind.
I've mirrored that. Chuck Missler's work is pretty phenomenal. He was one of the dudes. Fortunately, he's one of the dudes I found when I first woke up. Chuck Missler. I can't think of anybody else at the top of my head, so I'm not even going to pretend I can. But yeah, I've mirrored a lot of his stuff over the years.
Yeah, it's amazing because it shows that even if one letter was out of place, all these codes, this heptadic structure of the scriptures would fall apart. If even
Oh, you just fell out, Neil.
Yeah, even a single jot or tittle, and that's what the Bible is very clear about.
Good save. Good save. Am I not my brother's keeper?
That was perfect. Yeah.
Somebody just reminded me of this, and I can already see there's a few veterans of Iraq that are in the chat because they're dropping real words here. There was, let me see if I can find it to remind myself. I just F this up. Stand by. We're good. Hold on. Tigris and the Euphrates, the fallen would come. Now, when we went and we didn't actually spread democracy the second time in Iraq. We just invaded them because they had something to do with 9/11. Remember that time? Them and some other guy in a cave got us on 9/11. When we got over there, we got this from troops and we got these from Iraqi prisoners. They were putting them in a dam on either the Tigris or the Euphrates. I can't think of it. And they were losing their entire minds because there are still demonic entities that are active that were messing with the soldiers that were guarding them. Have you heard anything about this at all?
Now, does this have to do with the I'd heard Steve Quayle talk about that they killed a giant in the Iraq War.
No, that's enough. Yeah, no, I heard that story too. I got a hold of Steve and I got a hold of L.A. Marzulli because L.A. had that first. And I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of thing. If that did happen, the entire team that was involved would have had an accident. Their chopper would have went down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Just like SEAL Team 6 had an accident after they threw away bin Laden's body in the ocean, as is tradition.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's right here. Right here it is. I love the subscribers. They're so smart. As long as I watch the chat, I can say smart things because I repeat what they say. He just said it, man. The name of the dam right here. You see that? Haditha?
Haditha, yeah, I see it.
Right under the rivers that some of these entities are imprisoned under. The military put these guys in here, and these dudes were like killing themselves, literally. Like, I'm not. They were getting messed with bad. Actually, I'm going to look that up if I think of it. That's a good video.
Well, I know they've created technologies as well with this brain to skull technology and telepathy, where basically they can make people think they have.
Oh no, dude! We used Iraq the first time around. Desert Saber, Desert Shield, and Desert Storm. We openly used chemtrails to prep them, and then voice to skull to get them to admit things because Allah would show up in their cell and say, "Dude, I'm telling you, it's all good. The Americans are—they're here to help. Just tell them whatever, even if it's a lie, tell them." Because, this whole thing is precept on a lie, but I digress being Allah and all. But yeah, that's real. And then magically, right after that war, they start nailing us with the same thing because, who's going to notice the sky being white?
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this too, that the most valuable substance to man today, if this genetic hybridization is really becoming the case, is going to be DNA. And if you want to look for DNA of people, you got to start at Kirath Arba or Hebron. It used to be called Kirath Arba because that's where they apparently buried a lot of our patriarchs, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, and some of these places are supposed to have some giant bones. Like, for instance, Goliath was supposedly, his bones were strung up on the gates of the city. So,
and his armor. I mean, you would think that would be something that would be kept for, forever. That type of armor, things like that,
if it's real, somebody's got it.
Yep.
And if it's real and somebody's got it, they're using it against whoever they're trying to control, because that stuff is powerful and nobody's using it for the good of humanity, if that's even possible. This woman right here, I'm guessing it's a woman due to the thumbnail. Jay Thomas said, Russ Dizdar has helped deliver these soldiers.
Yeah,
I met Russ.
He's great.
And the only here's the deal. Let me do a blanket statement and piss off another 12 big time YouTube truth dudes. Russ was probably the most intense dude I ever met. Up on stage when they're all spitting their thing at these conferences and stuff. I went to a conference a long time ago. Many of you know, many of you don't. And I watched Anthony Patch's back while he was there. That was my job. But I met LA. I had dinner with them. I met Paul Begley and all these guys. And when I left, I'm like, and they were like, hey, do you want to be in the next one? I'm like, I'm all set. This is nonsense. God has a very important message he wants me to tell you. So meet me in Missouri, pay $109, and I'll tell you what. Yeah, bullshit. If you've got something to say, putting it out on the internet is the most effective way because it's out there and it reaches so many more people. But Russ he's a big dude, and he was so intense and earnest. Like, you could tell what he was saying, and he was saying some scary stuff.
Yeah,
like meeting super soldiers where they did try to put demonic. Like, let's mix some.
It's hard to even listen to him sometimes.
It's scary stuff, but I'll tell you what, meeting him straight up and having a chance to talk to him, just me and him, he was legit, man. He was totally legit. He just caught up in that, that whole, or he just, I don't know. Maybe that's how he spreads his message. I don't know. How's that? Yeah. Let's say it that way. So
yeah, he's definitely tough to follow. He goes kind of in circles where he comes back and starts speaking in Greek, musaskoskitskapai, right? All these big words, and
yep,
it's like, okay, you're saying that again. He just repeats it and then goes back to it. So it's kind of like trying to show how all these big things, but he doesn't actually explain it much. So it can be a little tough listen.
Indeed. Oh, I didn't mean to leave that up there. My bad. I have the Black Awakening.
Yeah.
It's funny that, he was talking about that, and he always kind of tied it into some sort of a pandemic or an outbreak situation is when this would all come into effect. And it's weird because we're right there right now. So just be ready. Just be ready for anything. Like when I'm going to say this, even though you're not supposed to, but I'm going to say it because it's true. Before I even sent the link to ARC, because of the topic, I prayed. And then as soon as we came on, I prayed. And when you're done with this, or if you go to any of the links on this video, pray. Don't mess with these sigils. They're incredibly powerful. We're just showing this to the people that don't understand, the people that rule everything, the people that have made it to the top of the corporations and the banks and the government and the politicians and the military. These guys have all used these sigils. They've all called on the names of these demons. And if you call on them, they answer. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. There's a reason that sacrificing animals and lighting candles and painting things in salt on the ground has stuck around forever, as far as we know, because it works. Yeah. So,
who Tom
definitely
Gunn
after prayer.
You know who Tom Dunn is?
Yes.
So he's done some interesting videos where he's talked about actually going into his own town and finding sigils that they're putting up on like power line poles, like in certain like sections of neighborhoods. And he's found that they like literally put them in patterns, like as a blocked out pattern to like, you know, this is our block basically, and putting in these satanic sigils.
I wonder what the health effects are on the neighborhoods. Because it can't be positive. By its very nature, it can't be good.
Exactly. Yeah, he goes off, tears them off, and just taking videos and kind of shows them, but it's creepy stuff.
Wow, I'm gonna look that up. Send me that if you can think of it, Ark. I really thought it was Destiny's Lab my entire life. I can't believe
people
so hard to say Destiny Lab.
Well, it's Destiny Child, Destiny's, there's things already like that. So I don't know. People do that a lot, so no biggie.
What are you guys working on? You and your brother, or you separately, or just you, Neo? I know Neo's got his hands full with things going on, but what are you working on?
Well, we're planning on doing another podcast here soon. We were actually going to do a podcast on the Book of Enoch and the Fallen Angels, another kind of in-depth one, but it's nice to come back on here and kind of finish up what we're talking about before, but we want to do more podcasts. It's just a matter of finding time and getting it done. I'm trying to get my 4th album done here. I'm thinking it should be done in about 2 to 3 months. And so
I don't know how you even do that, dude. You must make tons of, to-do lists and whatnot. Like, I got to get this done, got to get this done. I don't know how you tie it all into a rap song so well. It freaks me out that you can do that, man. It totally freaks me out.
All the glory goes to God. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I just, just comes to me, and some of them take time, some of them are really quick, but it's something that I did just as I was convicted to start making this music, actually, because I was deceived by this stuff myself. I got caught up in believing aliens were angels and all this stuff when I was in my early 20s. And then when I got out of it, I was just like blown away. It was like, this is such a deception. How can I expose this stuff? And then I found out, man, music, there's a lot of people, you try to talk to them about this stuff and they won't even listen to you. It just goes over their head, or they shut you down and change the subject, but they'll listen to a song. Or if you got something playing in the background, it's feeding them information. So I found that music is a powerful spiritual tool to witness to people.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, look at how they've used it. Look at what music was when we were kids and what it is now. It's amazing. Music, even though it wasn't great for you, they were just telling a story. It wasn't. Now it's in tight. It's shaping everything.
Yeah.
No one has respect. It's just I don't even want to get into it. It's too much. But yeah, you hear what I'm saying.
It's a foundation to our society.
Right. Why don't you ever have Dr. Because I have no idea who A, you are, and B, who that person is. So I usually don't have people that have no clue who they are on, because it's really hard to get a hold of someone that you don't know.
Joy Pugh's actually pretty good. She's a researcher that talks about the cult and things like that, and the Nephilim, and so she's actually really good. She's been on a lot of shows with Zen Garcia.
Nice. Yeah, I'm all set. I'll just stick with you guys. Well, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, too many people.
That's it. Keep track. It's too many people. So,
all right. I got a praise. If you want to tell me, I don't know if the guests know, but my wife, she was diagnosed with cancer December 23rd, and so she had surgery, got it on her tongue cancer, and a lot of prayers. The surgery went well. The glands, the doctor, it was kind of a miracle, miraculous is what the doctor basically said, when her glands weren't infected, because the doctor expected to give her bad news about the glands, but they were clear. And now she's going through radiation and chemo just to make sure it doesn't come back. And we just got word from one of the doctors just Monday. And the doctor said that you're doing better than any patient I've ever had. And I really believe it's from the prayers that we've got from so many different people. And I believe that God's healing her body, and she's going to be cancer free. And it's actually brought us closer together. You know, God works in mysterious ways. Even though this has been a tough time, it's been amazing. And the power of prayer is shown in what we're going through right here. And we really appreciate what we've got from everybody.
Hey, Neo.
Yeah.
I had no clue your brother was talking about having you come on at 10. And I'm like, I'm not waiting until 10 o'clock. No offense. Did you happen to notice the hashtag I have up right now? I did not talk to you.
No, you didn't. Oh man, that's awesome.
Dude,
that
are you
awesome.
kidding me? How crazy is that?
Yeah.
God is good.
That freaks me out. Well, you've got at least 2,000 people that are going to pray for you. And I'm sure that number will go up exponentially.
And one other thing too, our radiation doctor, we were noticing in her, in all the rooms that we're going into, we're seeing Christian verses on the walls, things like that. So we said, "Hey, you're Christian, aren't you?" She says, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Hey, can we pray with you?" And she prayed with us and prayed in the name of Jesus. And again, God has directed Christian doctors to deal with my wife and to heal her as well. And it's just been amazing, you know, how God works in all these different ways that you can never imagine. And that's basically what's happened. And it's been amazing. Really has.
That is a trip that you just said that. And that was the hashtag. That freaks me out. There are no coincidences, man.
No,
wow.
no.
That freaks me out. You don't even know how bad that freaks me out, even though it happens a dozen times a day. And now Big Sip's seen it happen. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Neo, if there's anything that you guys need, is anything that we can do, feel free to hit me up. And anything I can do, I will do. Period.
Hey, it's just prayer. That's all. That's a God will sustain us no matter what. Just prayer.
Yeah.
So love you.
All right, guys. Real quick, Ark, is that shirt you're wearing? Is that for sale on your website? Two people just asked.
No, this isn't a Destiny Lab shirt, but if you go look up Ames Brothers, AAMES.
Oh, screw that. I thought it was yours.
No, I wish, man. It's a pretty cool shirt.
Is it? I can't even see it because you're blurry.
No, I got other shirts on Destiny. Go to DestinyLab.com. We got a bunch of really cool shirts. Truth Music.
Actually, I'm going to grab a few of them and I'm going to give them away. I don't know what size to get. What's a good giveaway size? Because I wear 2 to 3XL, and I don't want to give that away because people think they're fat.
It's hard to stock stuff, and we actually just print them on demand because it's so hard to know. Because everybody wants something different colors. There's all variety, but yeah, no. Let me know what you want, and I'll hook you up with some good prices. And
I'm not worried about that, dude. They're T-shirts. It is what it is. Don't give them away. All right, guys. Neo, anything? Ark, anything?
Hey, thank you for having us on again.
Yeah, blessing to come on here and let us know when you want to talk. Next time we should do a full episode on those newspaper stories because we
will send those. But I can't. Check this out. There's a dude on YouTube, some regular dude who happens to teach you how to use a camera. And I have a really good camera and I suck at using it. So I wanted to take his class, and it's on Vimeo. And I was kicked off Vimeo for the guy that produced the movie, the documentary Vaxxed, sent it to me and said, "You can run it now. We're done. Anything we get above, it will be above and beyond." I posted it on Vimeo. I belonged to Vimeo for 5 years. I paid them just like I pay StreamYard. They kicked me off, and I can't sign in under any of my aliases. And I have like 7 different emails that I've used over the years. And I cannot sign into Facebook. No way, no how, since they banned me. So you got to send it to me. If I can put it up, I want to run with it because that's good. That's good information, and it's real info. It's before the elites totally consolidated all the mainstream media. And they were giants, man, and they were all over the place.
Yeah. No, I've got things on the Bohemian Grove that'll blow your mind, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, we'll definitely.
Hey, one more teaser too that I've got just to put, because we got a lot of people listening. There was a magazine that was put out by a group called the Jaredite Advocate. That is what it was called, and it's referenced by a guy named I.D. Thomas, who wrote the Cosmic Conspiracy. And if anybody knows any information about this, they were apparently a group that has been around since the days of Jared pre-flood, fighting the fallen angels. But it's very secretive and hard to find info. So if anybody knows anything about this, send it to you and we'll talk about that.
Sweet. Macy Morris said, looking forward to, I got some, if you love creation and really hard places to go, I got killer video and I almost killed myself getting it. And I have a witness that saw me almost killing myself, but it is what it is. If I die getting video, it's all good. All right, guys. Richie from Boston, Ark from Destiny Lab, and his brother Neo. And they also have a podcast, which links will be in the copyright strikes. Unbelievable. Links will be in the comment section below. And also to Destiny Lab and whatever else except Facebook, because F Facebook with a broomstick. All right, Richie from Boston, Ark, Neo, we are out.